Very excited to talk to you. I admittedly am a Twister fanatic. Saw it 6 times in the movie theater when I was in high school, dressed like Helen Hunt for a year, and then decided to become a meteorologist. So it had a profound impact on my life, which I understand. Same case with both of you, correct? So let's go back to kind of the beginning.
Yes.
Can you give me a little recap about Twister, the movie itself, for those people who are living under a rock and don't know what it is?
Okay, so in the summer of 1995, a bunch of guys got together and thought it would be a great idea to, you know, create some mayhem on the streets of Wakita as part of the filming of Twister. And prior to 95, not a lot of people knew of Wakita or a lot of the small towns in northern Oklahoma. And once Twister came to Oklahoma to do filming, there was a buzz around northern Oklahoma. A lot of the towns got to be part of the movie making process, whether it was creating dresses, necklaces, things of that nature, welding things. Like I had mentioned before, the construction crews were a very big part of the movie making process. They came up from Enid and they stayed up here in trailers, night after night, week after week. And the year was pretty hot. And, they had the ACs running, they had, a lot going on. And the folks here in Wakita got a chance to be a part of the filmmaking as well, including even taking advantage of some of the Hollywood catering while they were here.
Okay, so tell me about Wakita itself. How small of a town are we talking here?
So Wakita is pretty small. It's about 1 mile by 1 mile. So not very big, not in acreage or in population. When the movie filmed here in 95, there were 585 people that lived here. And now there's just a few short of 400.
Oh, it's shrinking. Oh no. Okay.
Yeah, just a little bit, and the agriculture has the landscape of that has changed a bit. Plus, we've been in a 3 to 5 year drought period, so it's been tough. But the farmers out here are hanging in there and keeping things going for us.
So do you know anything about the inspiration behind the movie Twister? Because there were some real life events, correct, that kind of kicked off this plot line.
Yes, there was a couple of them. One of them more particularly that we're fond of is the Toto device. Now, Dorothy, of course, from the movie and the multiple Dorothys that they made for the movie, it was originally inspired by Toto, which was a device that the National Severe Storms Laboratory had actually attempted to place in front of tornadoes back in the 1980s. While that project didn't go very well, it did inspire the movie plot in that if we can get Dorothy into the tornado and get the sensors in there, then we can advance in the science and help improve early lead times on tornado warnings.
So,
and they did execute that in the movie, of course.
right, I was going to say, did NSSL decide to go take a bunch of aluminum cans and make little windmills
See,
out of them?
that's where they messed up. Had they taken on that extra initiative, then 100%, they might have gotten Toto up into the tornadoes earlier. But yes, and so that inspiration. And then there was a little bit of a small world situation where the mayor here in Wakita, he had a demolition grant on file with the state of Oklahoma, and he was able to work it out with the studios to kind of take care of the buildings, film the movie here, and then clean everything back up before they took off.
So if you drive around Wakita, are you going to see some familiar locations, or was everything really created for the movie?
A lot of it was created for the movie. You will see Aunt Meg's property. You'll see the Twister Museum here, which actually served as a multitude of things for the movie when they were here. And then the building itself also stood in place as a auto parts store in the movie as a false front.
Okay, so
But in the museum, you would actually
yeah, go
see
ahead.
a number of pictures and debris from the movie as part of the building and the materials inside of the building.
Okay, so tell me a little bit about the museum and how it started and how it's transitioned over the past couple of decades.
Yes, so oddly enough, the movie studios in September of 1995, it was actually partially their idea to, include some of the debris in this building and create a museum as such. And in September of 95, the museum opened. And this was actually 6 months before the movie release in May of 96.
Oh, okay. I had
Mm,
no idea. So the
yes.
museum came before the
Yeah.
movie. It gave it a little bit of
Mhm.
hype. So what is in the
Yeah.
museum? I'm sure the list of memorabilia has grown over the years.
Yes, it has actually, and you wouldn't even believe the amount of people in the storm chasing community and local colleges, meteorologists who support the museum over the years and continue to do so by just stopping by and telling fun weather stories and things like that. But inside of the museum, you'll find a lot of Bill Paxton stuff. He was just a amazing person here. I speak on behalf of the people of Wakita, who have just have rave reviews about his time here. So much to where he would take a picture with you, throw the football with you, anything and everything. And we also have Dorothy One, which is the original Dorothy prop that actually went upside down in Joe's Jeep J10 Honcho in the movie. And sparks are flying. It was a live shot that was actually created down at one of the bends of the Arkansas River in northeast Oklahoma. And they dropped Dorothy and the Jeep from an overhead crane. And that's where Dorothy got her damage. And she has called Wakita home for the last 26 years.
Wow. So that's a big one. What else? Anything, any really cool artifacts laying around there that we might not expect to see?
We do have a lot of autographs and photos that were donated by Sean Whalen, Wendell Josepher, Bill Paxton himself. We also have two donated items by Bill Paxton. One of them is a screen used football that you will see in the movie when the storm chasers arrive at Aunt Meg's house. And then the second thing is Bill's pinball machine, which is a true twister pinball machine that was made by Sega back in 1996.
All right. So you guys are open seasonally, correct? Tell me a little bit about the museum and
Correct.
when we can visit and what kind of crowds you get during kind of the big storm chasing season.
Sure. We actually are, our main regular hours are April through August, Tuesday through Saturday from 1 to 5.
I also want to talk about, I want to ask you about the changeover in management of the museum. There was a woman running it for many years, correct? And you two are now taking over. Can you tell me about her and about you and that process?
Yeah, so Miss Linda Wade, who was Tom Wade's wife, Tom was the mayor here in Wakita that brokered the deal to do the movie here. And Miss Linda had actually took off with it on the ground running. She ran it 26 years, didn't have the first real know-how about tornadoes or anything like that. But she loved, that the movie studios came and she got a chance to meet and talk with Bill Paxton at length, so much to where Bill had actually sent out two letters to Miss Linda since filming wrapped in '95, and she ran it for the first 26 years. She has since retired largely from running the museum, but she still does like to come in and share some of her stories. So you never know if you stop by during our normal hours, you might see Miss Linda, you might not. But she really adored the movie and really, kept the culture and the tradition that the movie has created. She kept that going over the years.
So, tell me about visitors to the museum. What kind of people do you get coming in? Are they huge fans of the movie? Are they just stopping through? Are they storm chasers?
All of those things.
All of
We
them.
get all of those types of people. and it's really not more one than any of the others. We get a lot of passerbys. They might be out at the Great Salt Plains, or they might be just maybe doing Route 66 or something, and they what would like to take a detour. But in April, May, and early June, you'll find a lot of storm chasers coming through this part of the state, and of course to pay homage to the movie, for with which is a byproduct of a lot of their careers, as far as Twister getting them going, including mine. Um, they like to come by, pay homage, maybe buy a T-shirt, and sometimes they donate items, as well, whether that's radio sound equipment, that they might have attempted to put in front of tornadoes. T-shirts. We have T-shirts that have been donated from some of the more highly regarded universities that run meteorology programs and atmospheric sciences: Valparaiso, University of Oklahoma, Ohio State Buckeyes, Ohio Bobcats. Those folks have stopped out in the past, and we appreciate the donations.
Any of the actors from the movie?
Yes. So that's of course one of the big things that people ask us a lot is, have there or are there going to be any of the actors out? And just twice in the last 2 years, we had three of the actors from the movie: Sean Whalen, Wendell Josepher, and April Littlejohn Warren. We're all here for our 25th anniversary celebration, where we had over 1,200 people show up here in Wakita. And then they did autographs, of course, over at our gazebo, which was also right in the middle of the damage path from the F4 tornado that hit Wakita head on. And then second to that, they came back out in September, just this past September, for our Going Green Festival, where we paid homage to Bill Paxton and Philip Seymour Hoffman, who played Dusty in the film. And then for that party, we had over 700 people show up for that. And then we even had Sean and Wendell came in the museum and got a chance to watch some of the movie with us. So it was real nostalgic. It was great to see the fans out, to paying support to the movie even after all of these years.
Twister wasn't really a huge hit when it came out, right? I feel like it's grown in popularity over the years. Why do you think that is? Why do you think people really connect with this movie 25 years later?
And you're right, and they have, and even we still catch ourselves watching it 12, 15 times a year. We watch it on our storm chasing tours. I mean, it's unbelievable, and the reason why I think is because the movie has something for everyone in it, whether it's the love story, whether it's the excitement, whether it's the antagonist guy. You had Jonas come in, and he's got his big crew of corporate sponsors. Whether you're the corporate guy or you're the little guy, you get into that kind of stuff. So, and whether it's you loved Bill Paxton or you love Helen Hunt or whatever it is, but I just think the movie has something for everyone, and it just resonates with a lot of people, especially in the springtime when the tornadoes start picking up, like what we're seeing now in Iowa and Mississippi and parts of Arkansas.
Yeah, I mean, and the music of the movie too. I had the soundtrack and I listened to it over and over again. And still when I hear those songs, even like a Shania Twain song, it brings me back like that. Those are some really good tunes on that movie soundtrack as well.
There really are, yes.
Mm-hmm. And so many quotables from this movie. I mean, you guys have the shirts on right now. Mandy's shirt has to be the number one, right? It has to be the number. What are kind of the big quotes that you guys hear over and over again?
Oh, well, the one I love the most is "Rabbit is good, rabbit is wise," because I am much, in the storm chasing, whole feat, and it's just one of the more classic ones. What's some other ones, Mandy?
This one is a popular one. We got counts.
Yeah,
we hear that all the time.
We hear it a lot.
I hear that a lot too.
Yeah. We're going in. Everybody underground now. There's just so many that are just so great. Roll the maps. There's a crease through Wichita. Roll the maps. Don't fold the maps.
Going green. That's another one.
Going green. And then Dusty says greenage. Yep.
It's so
And that's
funny
what
that Philip
inspired
Seymour
our last
Hoffman, like
movie.
that was one of his first, like he was not known. He became such a big
Mhm.
actor after Twister.
He
Um,
really did, yes.
And was
Very
still
cool.
growing.
So tell me a little bit about you guys and the impact that the movie has had on your life and what you do now.
So yeah, I'll start with this one and Mandy can chime in. So I saw my first tornado in 1990, June 2nd, tornado outbreak in the Ohio Valley. So I was already kind of interested in stuff like that and tornadoes, how do they produce all that damage? But I was 9. So I couldn't do much with it. And of course, 6 years later, in 1996, I get a chance to see Twister for the first time. And I realized, you can drive up to these things. Okay. And it was and that was a new frontier for me personally, because from that point on, I got my license about, I would say almost a year later after the movie's release, and I became a storm chaser. And I have chased ever since, and I'll chase until the day I die. And the movie helped, kind of further implement what I already kind of had going on, in my thought process, things I might have wanted to do in college and that kind of thing. And then the movie, just the more times you see it, the more it resonates, and then it just became a cult classic for me, something that is like a comfort thing. I can just put it on and just, even do housework. If it's on in the background, I'm right where I need to be.
It's like an old song. You have the whole thing memorized, right?
Exactly. Yeah.
I think, we must be exactly the same age because I was also 9 in 1990. So maybe it's that age that it hit us in high school. That movie was the perfect
Maybe.
timing when everybody was saying, "What do you want to do with your life?" And we said that right
That
there.
was a storm case of like Billy the Extreme, or Joe, or
All right.
yeah.
Mandy, what about you? Tell me the impact on you.
Well, with the storm chasing, I was not even interested in it at all for many years. I was actually scared of it. And then I met this guy. And this guy got me interested in it. I was doing photography at the time I met him, taking photos and stuff. And then he came along and introduced the storm chasing world to me. So I'm like, oh, that would be cool. I can go take photos of storms, tornadoes, blah, blah. Well, it was a little freaky at first for me because, again, I was scared to death. Just of thunderstorms, even.
A lot like Melissa was in the movie.
Yes.
Very much so. I had to kind of, do what Bill did and kind of be like, it's gonna, I got this. I know
Except
we have the leverage.
I wanted to compete with it. She did not.
Yeah, that's right.
So over the years, I've learned a lot of information about weather, which has made me not fear it as much. I don't fear it really at all anymore. I can chase it on my own without him or with him. I don't really need him around to do that, which is what I plan on doing when he's gone chasing and I'm here at the museum. If I ever have to pack up and head out, I definitely will. I do have a storm shelter here that I can get in, but I will not be in that. I will be out in my car chasing.
Yep. Yeah, she has the technology and the radars and things that she can use to get herself, just like I would do if I was, by myself or like on tours. Obviously, we use the technology at great length to ensure the safety of our guests and to keep everything moving and keep seeing more storms. A lot like the movie. They wanted to go out, they wanted to chase storms. That's what we do. And that movie really has helped propel thousands, not just hundreds, but thousands of people from even international countries who come out to Tornado Alley for a month at a time to chase tornadoes.
Yeah, tornado chasing tourism was not a thing before this, correct?
Prior to 1996, actually prior to 1997, there were no storm chasing tour companies. And this movie was I would say it's one of the largest impacts as to how storm chasing tourism got its start.
All right, well, we have a new generation of future meteorologists and storm chasers in the making here. Twisters coming out at some point. Do you guys know anything about this movie? There don't seem to be any details out. Do you have any insider information?
So we have very little. Some of it we can't share, but what we can share is that the movie will be doing some production work in the state of Oklahoma.
Okay.
Yeah. So where we did not know that back in October, that is something newer where, there have been some folks here in Oklahoma doing some work, some principal photography and pre-production work for Twisters.
You have no idea of any actors or reappearing. You don't know timeline at all.
We do know the timeline. So the movie's release is slated for July 19th, 2024.
Okay.
Yep, and it will be coming out against Paramount's Transformers. So be looking for that. And previews, I would imagine, would start kind of popping up this time next year.
It's going to be really fun to compare the special effects. And I feel like they did such a good job for the mid 90s, right? For what we saw, like everything was so beautiful and so impressive and felt really real and terrifying.
They did, and and a lot of that was not CGI in terms of the debris, the placement of things. That the scenes out at the Arkansas River were all done live shot, in the heat, in the humidity. So you can imagine it was a pretty long summer for those folks, for the actors and such. And but yes, that was one of the initial movies to take on industrial light and magic in its newest form at that point. They had some significant upgrades in some of their graphic potential, and they were able to utilize that in the movie.
Cool. And it's going to be nice too to have a movie about weather come out that is realistic in the way that it's not about some extreme event like the day after tomorrow.
Correct.
It's something that people can really relate to and perhaps inspire, like I said, a new generation of meteorologists. So we'll see. Hopefully. I have high hopes for this movie.
Yes, and we have high hopes too. It is the same three studios that did the first movie. And the general idea is that Bill and Joe's daughter takes on a new group of storm chasers and they go out on the next big event. And in my opinion, maybe they'll have two big tornadoes at the end of the movie, twins, maybe twin tornadoes or something like that. There's been several incidents between 1995 and now, where we have documented not only like our group SWC Expeditions, but other groups have documented monster twin tornadoes that we just didn't have photography of prior to 95. So the amount of stock footage that the movie has access to is incredible compared to back in 95. So that should give you some hope that the footage and the tornado scenes in the movie will be pretty close to realistic.
Wow. Awesome. I cannot wait. Do you guys have anything else you want to add? I think I've got all my questions done, but if there's anything else you want to throw in, please.
Yeah, I would just like to tell everyone that we do have an annual Twister celebration right here, downtown Wakita, every September. It's usually the third Saturday, of September. And then we are also planning a huge, gigantic 30th anniversary party, which will hopefully celebrate both movies for that. So that'll be in May of 2026. And then follow our Facebook page for announcements on that. And we look to have some of the actors here for that as well.
Ooh, all right. Marking my calendar. How do you even get to Wakita? Where do we fly into?
You can fly into either Wichita or Oklahoma City. Either which way, it's about an hour and 50 minutes to 2 hours to get to here to Wakita and Grant County, Oklahoma.
Okay, that's not that bad. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. I appreciate your time. This was so much fun. I love the movie so much. So this brought me a lot of joy. And now I absolutely am going to go put on the soundtrack while I work for the rest of the day.
Sounds like a plan.
Yeah.
We're actually going to work the museum the rest of the day. So we'll have the soundtrack running, the movie. And if you haven't been here before, we have some really cool behind the scenes from the movie that you can check out.
Ooh, fun. Okay. Well, I can't wait to come visit the museum, and I will certainly let you know when I do that.
Excellent. We look forward to it. Thanks.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Mandy. So nice to meet you both.
Hey, thank you so much for watching. While you're here, check out some other videos you just may like.